Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Nurannisa Binti Azlan, and today I am presenting my final year project, which is Automatic Rain Sensing Door using IoT, Internet of Things, that is supervised by Dr. Yuzi Mahmud. First and foremost, let us go through the content that I will be presenting today. This presentation consists of 4 parts, which is Chapter 1, Introduction to the Project, Chapter 2, the Literature Review, Chapter 3, the Methodology, and the Gantt chart of the process of completing this project's proposal. Okay, so now I will talk about the background of study. Malaysia is a country located north of the equator, which experiences hot and humid throughout the year. According to Jabatan Meteorologi Malaysia, the annual average rainfall is 2,420 mm and 3,830 mm for Peninsular Malaysia and Sabah and Sarawak respectively. Therefore, rainfall is abundant here in Malaysia. Apart from that, in 2019, the Department of Statistics Malaysia showed that approximately 95% of houses in Kuala Lumpur are all high-rise residential properties. And as everyone noticed, every high-rise residential building must have a balcony for ventilation. The majority of balconies are exposed to the outdoors, and here in Malaysia, the balcony are rarely utilized other than a place to hang clothes to dry. After the occurrence of rainfall, water will accumulate on the balcony flooring for a long period of time. So, when rainwater accumulates or leaks, the material on the balcony may stain, rot, fade, or fracture as a result to the dampness. Moving on to the problem statement, most of the high-rise residential properties are owned or rent by those who have small family, working couple, student, or a single working person who rent together with friends. Whenever it rains, water will leak into the balcony, and when that occurs, problems such as formation of moss, gate turns rusty, and clothes unable to dry are faced by the occupants of the house. Therefore, taking care of the balcony will definitely become an issue since most of the time, these people are occupied with tight schedule of school or work. To help solve the problem, this automatic rain sensing door is proposed with few objectives that needed to be achieved. Firstly, to identify the relationship between the level of humidity, temperature, wind speed, and rain level prediction. Second, to apply decision tree technique to help accurate the sensor reading to ensure the door closes when it rains. And thirdly, to develop an IoT-based automatic rain sensing door. The research scope of this project is focusing on the residents of high-rise residential properties or any house that owns a balcony. In order to create an efficient and accurate system, this project will implement the Internet of Things and use a decision tree classifier technique to help predict the level of rainfall within a day based on a few factors such as humidity level, wind speed, and temperature. From this research, the expected output will be the functionality and accuracy of the automatic rain sensing door that only closes when it's raining and not from any sudden presence of water. As for the research significance, the finding of this study would be a great help to those who live in a high-rise residential property, especially working people with tight schedules. Installing such system will help them take care of the balcony, reduce time on the money consumed on laundry, and install new gates to replace the damaged one. Other than that, it will also help create a faster and more efficient automatic rain sensing door by doing this research. Now, let us move on to Chapter 2, which is the Literature Review. Here is the 3 main domains that have been explored to complete the study. This 3 domains has been summarized after doing the Literature Review. The first domain is climates in Malaysia, where it concluded that Malaysia enjoys tropical weather all year round. However, due to its proximity to water, the climate is often quite humid. Secondly, the rain factor that concluded temperature, humidity, and wind speed are all influence rainfall and are mentioned and used in almost all rain predicting articles. And lastly, automatic door, which is a power-operated mechanism and controls that automatically open and closes the door when a momentary actuating signal is received. As for the related works, these are the few papers that are related to my project. Firstly, we have a fire detecting system for smart home-based and IoT data analytics written by Boy and others, and it creates a fire detecting system that can alert people when it senses fire. Next, we have a comparative analysis of data mining techniques for Malaysia rainfall prediction written by Zainuddin and others, where the writer compares 5 different techniques on rain predicting. Decision tree and random forest are seen to be the top performers. And the next 2 articles are also included because this both paper predicts rainfall and implement IoT. Based on all literature study, I decided to use decision tree classifier as it can work with small amount of dataset yet still produce a good accuracy. Moving on to chapter 3, which is the methodology, there are in total of 9 phases altogether, which is preliminary study, knowledge acquisition, data collecting, understanding and pre-processing, system architecture and design, system development, testing and evaluation, and lastly, documentation. To satisfy the first objective, which is to identify the relationship between the level of humidity, temperature, wind speed and rain level prediction, 2 phases are required to do, which is the preliminary study and knowledge acquisition. These 2 phases require to study and explore about rainfall, factor affecting rainfall and also rainfall predicting and the standard technique used. The outcomes of these 2 phases is the background study, problem statement, research objective, research significance, research scope, and literature review of the related works. Next, to satisfy the second objective, which is to apply decision tree technique to help accurate the sensor reading to ensure that the dome closes when it rains, it needs to go through 4 phases. The first phase is data collection, where I obtain the data set of rainfall from Jabatan Meteorologi Malaysia. Second phase is to understand the data and its attribute, and to support that, data dictionary and data description will be done. Data processing is where the data are cleaned, and system design phase is where the predictive model is designed. And lastly, to satisfy the third objective, which is to develop an IoT-based automatic rain sensing door, there are 3 phases needed to go through, which is system development phase, where the IoT automatic door is coded and setting up its database. Next, system testing and evaluation phase to see whether the model and system could work together to produce a good classifying accuracy and to identify any error made. And lastly, the documentation phase, where all the report writing happens. Moving on to the last part of my presentation, here is the Gantt chart of my process of doing the proposal throughout the semester. So, preliminary study is done on the first week till the third. Knowledge acquisition is done in total of 8 weeks starting from early of April until early of June. I started to write chapter 1 in week 3 and finished in week 5, chapter 2 week 5 until week 9, and lastly chapter 3 is done from week 9 to week 11. And we are currently in week 12 where the proposal submission and presentation is done. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.